Hello and welcome to the Afri-Dominion Show. My name is Freeman Singirankabo, and thank you so very much for tuning into our program today. Those of you joining us live, we are so grateful, whichever platform that you're joining us from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. In particular, those of you joining us straight from social media, despite which one of the platforms you're on, be sure to subscribe to our platform so that you may have an opportunity to be notified when we go live, so you can come and participate in real time. A huge welcome to those of you also globally joining our program right now, for taking some time out of your busy schedule to tune in to this program. Welcome to all of you. Come and participate. It is happening right now, real time. We have our Zoom platform open and many other ways that you can join the conversation right now as it happens. A huge greeting to those of you guys who will be joining this program later on, or viewing this program, or listening to this program later on. We also would love for you to come and participate sometimes when you do get an opportunity to come and hang out with us. And with that in mind, guys, this program that we bring to you every single day from Monday through Friday, we bring it in the name of our brothers and sisters all over Africa. And we bring it to you wishing to communicate to the depth of every, we want to get to the very bottom of the things that you care very much about, which means we're speaking truthfully with you guys, we're speaking boldly, and we speak with no apologies. Because if we really want to connect with you to the depth of your heart, at the very bottom of your heart, to the depth of the thoughts that you hold very intimate to yourselves, we want to be that deeper. We want to get that unique. We want to be the original with you. And we don't want to front. We want to be as genuine as possible, which is why we love to say we're speaking to you truthfully, boldly, and with no apologies. Because there's no need to sugarcoat that which is already there, especially if you're looking for a cut-through answer, yes or no. And it is for this reason also that we speak in the spirit of truth, love, and trust. And these are the benchmarks by which we would hope each and every one of you guys to measure both the validity and the truthfulness of everything we discuss with you. Anytime you see anything that is out of order, by all means, call it out right then and there. We give you many ways to get in touch with us, and we are going to ensure that these are the principles by which we hold every single day the shows and everybody who comes here, which means be it me or anybody else that you see on the show, hold us to these very high standards every single day that we have a broadcast. So how do you get in touch with us? You can get in touch with us primarily from our website, which is www.afridominion.com. www.afridominion.com. When you get there, you get to have our phone number, our social media handler, our main line, if you want to reach out to us, or mobile lines. So we literally up in the open with you guys, and we want to make sure that we don't waste any time connecting with any one of you guys. We're together. So a huge welcome to those of you, despite where you are around the globe, and it is quite a privilege to be hanging out with you guys right now. And for those of you who are not familiar with the program here, the Afri-Dominion program, it's quite a brand new program that is airing right now. But the same idea is very old, which means that those of you who aren't familiar with it, let me take just a few seconds or minutes to let you know what it is. Afri-Dominion and Afri-Dominion Show, pretty much almost similar things, but one of them, it's like the father of the other. So what is Afri-Dominion? Afri-Dominion, it's an idea of which inspires, advocates, encourages, even goes to the extent of helping you, brothers and sisters, take the full dominion of Africa and African resources, all for the interest of African people and the continent primarily, and then the rest of the world afterwards. And the Afri-Dominion Show, it's a mouthpiece of the idea. This is a program that we program with the intent of making sure that it has to be inspiring. It has to advocate on behalf of you, the voiceless brothers and sisters. And it has to literally encourage each and every one of you and help you to take the full control of Africa, one nation at a time, by you sons and daughters, kings and queens, you African descendants, all in the interest of African people first and foremost, and then the rest of the world afterwards. If you cannot find that here at our free dominion, then we had failed. But then again, you are welcome to come and support it so we can actually keep on polishing the program so that the goals and everything that we're going after, we can all realize it together. And with that in mind, guys, we have 5 different themes that we provide or that we provide to you guys, or that we program every single one of the programs you see here at Free Dominion. Given that we broadcast 5 business days, Monday through Friday, we also have given ourselves 5 different themes. Mondays, on every Monday, we have one unique theme which talks about refugee, the refugee issues and stateless person, African refugees and African stateless person. On Tuesdays, we talk about the Constitution, law, and policy review and implementation. Specifically African policies, African laws, and African constitutions. We get to scrutinize that and see what's going on with it. We promote what we see that it's an added value to our brothers and sisters, and we literally work so hard to get rid of what doesn't work so that it's no longer eating the resources that could be used to the rest of our brothers and sisters. Wednesdays, it is our testimony time. We get to write our own testimony. We get to write our own history, our ways by ourselves, meaning nobody else gets to write what is ours from their own lenses. We also got our viewers. We have our own testimonies. There's no need for you to go talk about my testimonies when I'm already here, when I'm alive. It is just absurd, but that's what's been unfortunately going on for so long, and we have had it. On Thursdays, we get to talk about the spirit of dominion. This is where now we get to keep it real with you guys. No sugarcoating, no excuses. You either do it or you don't. And we get to talk about the management of Africa and African resources. Despite who you are, where you are, what you are about, or the whatever social status that you hold, doesn't matter. If it's broken, it's broken. It's working, it's working. You can't have it in between that it's almost working now. We can't have that. It either works or it doesn't work, period. On Fridays, we get to talk about the current events and how it affects African people. So much is going on within and outside of Africa. But a lot of our brothers and sisters are super asleep about what's happening. And most of them don't even care because we've been conditioned that that's not our business. And we want to put an end to that, guys. You are responsible and you are accountable, plain and simple. The same way you were thousands of years back, the same way you are right now. So it's up to you. It's up to you to take the responsibility, and it's up to you to take the accountability. And with that in mind, guys, let's jump right in the program for today. It is Thursdays, as I have told you, and want to talk about dominion. Those of you who aren't familiar with what dominion is, dominion entails to govern, to control, to master, to manage the resources. Could be personal resources, corporate resources, nation resources, you name it, it's there. So when we talk about the dominion of Africa, we're talking about the full management of Africa and African resources. We're talking about you, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters of Africa, you kings and queens. We're not talking about foreigners doing that on your behalf. It is your responsibility. You get to do it yourselves. And so that's what we get to talk about on Thursday. And the topic that we get ready to talk about right now, where is a permanent solution, guys? Addressing a root cause or symptom, or a symptom of a situation. If you have a situation going on, is it easy to just grab a Band-Aid and put it on and hope for the best? Or you taking some time and investigate just a little bit, figure out why it's happening, and then address the issue once and for all. Why are we talking about this? And this is something that is not new. I just want to put it out there to most of you guys, because there's nothing new under the sun, guys. While it may feel like it's new to me, or it could feel like it's new to you, nothing is new under the sun. In fact, the very problems we're facing right now, they have existed for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Now, the unfortunate part We keep on repeating the same bandwagon, the same circle. Either we don't catch the lessons from him, or just don't know them, or don't even care. And when the same situation do arrive, and we have trouble. We tend to have trouble keeping up or positioning ourselves to do that which is right. So what am I talking about? Recently, for this past 2 weeks, and also you've been hearing of how the West, specifically the United Kingdom, is literally trying to outsource its problems, its illegal illegal immigration to Africa, to Rwanda specifically. Now, one thing that you may not be aware of, this is not something new, guys. This is not something new. And you see a backlash as to what's going on there right now. But guys, I want to tell you that the practice is as old as 20 plus years. Meaning, it's been there, it's been happening. But you just never caught it. We never caught it because it just wasn't on our radar. Which brings me to why I'm saying right now, where is a permanent solution for African problems? Are we busy seeking the permanent solution or the temporary solutions for whatever problem you may deem to see, or you may deem you may have found to be the case? If I got a headache, are you so quick to give me an aspirin or any one of the headache medicines? Or are you very quick to figure out if there's something physically off with my body? A headache is a symptom. It's an evidence that there is a problem. Now, what could potentially be the problem? For any one of these nations, be it the United Kingdom, the United States, France, Germany, Ireland, Holland, or Netherlands, for some of you who are English speakers, China, Japan, Germany, Russia, Australia, every single one of these powerful nations, when they are addressing their own problem, they're addressing problems and situations as they see fit. Now, to you, or through your lenses, if I may put it that way, do you bother to study? Do you bother to scrutinize what the situation is? Or you get caught up into handling the situation because it's just brought to your laps right then and there? For far too long, we get trapped into the bandwagon of reacting and reacting and reacting and reacting. Why? Because we've lost the principles. There is method to the madness of everything that we do. First and foremost, a builder of anything, you just cannot start overnight and you start building. That's not the principle. So the same principle of which is applied to anybody in a building industry applies to everything that we do also. What am I saying? If you're going to build a house, you got to think of what type of house that you want, and bring your thought from your head to a piece of paper. You get it to a designer, aka an architect. The architect makes every attempt to match your thoughts from your head with the visual representation of that which is you're hoping for. Now, once you can check that the visual representation of your thought is good and accurate, then the architect, he polishes it with some very specific details. For instance, if you're building a house, what kind of house is it? Is it a mansion or it's just a pretty standard house? How many rooms does it have? How many windows does it have? How many doors is it gonna have? What's the size of every room? What's the size of, what's the size of the whole entire house, the living room, etc. There are a lot of details that you have to think about. First and foremost, how much is it gonna cost? Where are you going to build it? Where are you gonna get the resources? How long are you planning to build it? Because all of that is going to affect not just the resources, the season also. Are you building, are you building it in the right season? Because if you seriously building and you build during the winter time or when it's raining, you are going to spend far more money than you building during the summertime. The environment, are you building underwater or over water? All of that you have to account for. Now, a good planner receives the best yield. You receive the best fruit out of your work because you've planned it, and not only have you planned it, but you also take the time to execute it properly, meaning to put it into action, that which you have planned. So right now, Africa has a huge problem of planning. We're missing brothers and sisters who can sit down and think situations as they're happening and find solutions. We are very quickly to just react. For instance, hunger. All of a sudden you discover that a whole village is hungry, and then you yell like you need some help, because all of a sudden you're realizing people are hungry. And that situation, it just didn't occur overnight. There is hunger when there is a lack of food. Food doesn't just fall from the sky and come down here. If you have not planted anything, you are not going to get any food. If your country doesn't have a means to plant its own food, you obviously got to buy it from somewhere. If you don't have any money, you cannot expect to get food from nowhere. These things are very basics. However, you'll be so shocked how many times we miss it. And purposely, I should add. So today we have influx of many problems taking place every single day. However, we are literally running out excuses from every book that's ever been written. We are running out of excuses, but we have yet to open the principal book, because the principal book is going to be all up in your face. When I say all up in your face, it's going to be all up in your face. The same way we've been taught that when you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0, you can construct any number. That's the principle. If you know the basic numbers, you can construct any number that you can conceive in your head. So how is Africa where it is right now? We talk about slavery, we talk about this, and we talk about that. But we've lost our contract. We no longer are taking our responsibility as serious as they were handed down to us. We are supposed to be managers of the resources here on planet Earth, in particular where you were born. Africans are responsible for the management of Africa and African resources. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been born there. You wouldn't have been given the capacity to do so. The management contract that you have has been inherited. You inherited that contract. There's nothing you can do to get rid of that contract. It's naturally inherited. Now, if you inherit something and if you are given the responsibility of something, you also have been given the capacity, the capacity to handle it. A woman, by default, has the capacity to create and to hold a baby in her womb. Naturally, because the capacity of childbearing, it's built inside of her. Naturally, I can donate sperm, part of what makes a baby. I do not need to go to a billion-dollar industry to manufacture a sperm, though a lot of people are trying today. Naturally, that capacity was built in me. There's a principle for making a baby. Even though today some of us, we are trying to do away with the principle. Why? Because you're trying to be another, like an imposter manufacturer. You're copying the main principles and you're trying to tweak them for your own interest. Today, a lot of women are literally given sperm, housed from refrigerator. Not through a male. And they're telling you, you know what, you don't need a male anymore. Male are headaches these days. Don't worry, we can still get you pregnant because we have already housed some sperms. Meaning we're changing principles of everything we're doing here for our own instant gratification. And anytime you're tampering with another manufacturer's process, a lot of things tend to happen. Our management contract, our original management contract, entails that you have the capacity and the capability to do that which has been entrusted to you. The manufacturer never gives you any assignment without the provision to handle it. That's just the principle. So coming down to the recent issues you've been hearing, refugees problem. Africa having to absorb refugees from all over. Guys, this is so twisted. It is insane. Where is the problem right now? Never mind the symptoms. We can see the symptoms. A bunch of refugees all over. We even have a refugee program here. But can you face the actual root issue? How do you get taken out of your own homeland? It could be economic reasons. There could be hunger. There could be wars. There could be, bickering between your brothers, your neighbors, until it becomes something bigger. And then wars. It could be somebody trying to come over and take over your own homeland. Many reasons why we're having all these problems. So instead of you sitting down with your brothers and sisters and examine what is the actual root cause of the issues, you've been taught, stop with the thinking. We already have a department that does all the thinking. The only thing we want you to do is the doing, the executing. That is not who you naturally are, guys. Naturally, I'm a thinker and a doer. Naturally. Naturally, I can crunch any problem. I'm a solution provider. That's who you are, naturally. So anytime you're being taught not to do part of what you naturally can do, you get short-circuited. It is so absurd in 2022. The foreigners have to come inside of Africa to take care of African problems. That's a symptom, by the way. And you are taught that you are being given favors. I'm doing you a favor because I'm fixing your refugee problem. It's like you going busy. You come in and you sterilize me, and then you turn around and you say, hey, I realize you got a problem having children. Let me, I'll come and fix you guys up. We have a stock of sperm there, so we'll give you a donation, okay? Don't worry, we got you. But before I could have kids, had you not tempered with my sperm manufacturing capacity, we would not be here. So many issues, so many problems that is caused by the same solution providers who turn around and they pretend or they appear to you as gods or little mini gods. It is you. It is you who have lost the vigilance. Your management contract, oftentimes to most of you guys, it's voided because you're no longer adhering to your management contract. As a manager, you have not just the capacity to govern, to control, to master, to protect, to make better, but also to assess and make sure that the environment is in alignment with that which is you're managing. Anytime you deviate your management skill sets and the requirements in your managerial program, there will be an imbalance. All the responsibilities of which come with management contract, you have to execute every single one of them for you to maintain the contract that's given to you. But today, if you're not honoring every single one of the responsibility and carrying them all out, no wonder you're having problems. How do you explain that Africa is one of the most wealthiest land that is as fruitful as a womb of a woman? And yet, we have amongst the most hungriest people on planet Earth. There's a disconnection somewhere. And all of us, we know what's going on. So I put it to you guys, especially you brothers and sisters, young kings and queens. Every single problem that you have, every single solution that you think you have, every single situation that you have, the fact that you can actually realize that there is a situation, it's an evidence that you also have the capacity to handle that situation. You cannot see a situation bigger than your brain. Let me rephrase that. You cannot see a situation that your brain cannot literally understand. If your brain can tell you that this is a situation or a problem, it already has also a solution, but it's up to you. It is up to you to awaken the solution. I am enraged to see how all of a sudden a lot of people are screaming about the inhumane treatment of these refugees coming from the United Kingdom going to Rwanda. Guys, this program is as old as 20 years back. This is a plan that's already been in motion because there've been plans that you've missed. I've taken the liberty this week to look literally how many plans that they are, whereas a lot of these nations developed nations to be specific, are no longer receiving immigrants in masses, and they rather actually send them back to third world countries. Third world countries are underdeveloped nations with less capacity and less voice and less fight in them. The nations that they have been conquered, that they have already conquered, if I may put it that way. The nations that they have already occupied. The nations that have become colonies of these other nations. Nations of which do not determine their own tomorrow. So already there's a problem. Already there's an opportunity for you to rectify a situation there. You already have the capacity to take care of all your situations, no matter how tough they are. But the minute you keep on looking in the lenses of he did this, she did that, and therefore come help, 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 this situation is not going to be over. You've already been equipped with everything that you need to take care of this situation. We already have the tools to take care of every single situation that we can actually see and comprehend. So what's happening today? We are busy seeking for bandage to take care of symptoms of a problem. It's like you see me having a wound here, and you just give me a band-aid and I put it on. A fancy one too. And this band-aid can actually absorb all the, can absorb all the, the waste and everything, like all those, the ugly stuff on the wound. And that band-aid can absorb it all and clean and do like self-clean band-aid. Meaning the things I should be doing to address a wound anyway, that one band-aid, it's like all-in-one band-aid. Fancy looking band-aid. This bandage is bypassing my responsibility to first and foremost figure out how did I get this wound? What is the cause of this wound? The root cause of my wound is what? Is the root cause still an issue, a situation that we have to deal with before you're trying to address the evidence that there's an issue? Brothers and sisters, we are in a pivot point where we either gotta decide to go left or to go right. For those of you who are not familiar with a pivot point is a point by which you have to change the direction. You have to change the status quo. It's inevitable. It either has to go one way or the other. It is not new that Africa, it's under duress for a lot of things happening. Situation taking place in Africa, all parts of Africa, the majority of them, it's like a peril. The most kind of horrible humanitarian crisis that Africa is going through, most of Africa. Now it's just like it's just like a wound. How did we arrive there? We have ignored our responsibilities. We have detection mechanism. We have the tools. We also have the capacity. And we have the thinking, the logic. But we have not taken the time to think, come up with a plan, come up with the solutions, execute, and verify to see if whatever that we have identified as an issue has been resolved through the process that we created. The same way, you're not just going to build a house without a plan. You need a plan before you start building. So instead of coming up with all of that, we just scream, I need a house, I need a house, I need a house. I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat. When all along you were given the most fertile land, you've been given the capacity to read seasons, to know when to plant, when to harvest, all of that. But you failed to take action. So our failure, it's also an evidence of us not being in the right position. The fact that today we spend the time screaming of refugees here and refugees there, it's a huge evidence of failure on our end in various ways. Especially a failure to uphold the contract that we've been given of management of Africa and African resources. We've failed to dominate Africa. So this failure has to be addressed first and foremost, because there's plenty of evidence that we have lost the dominion of Africa. Plenty of evidence that we have literally lost the dominion contract. Now, given that you've lost it and you were naturally given the capacity, what's missing between you deciding to get your act together and go right back in your right position and assume the responsibility? Get back in the right route, in the right path. Assume the accountability and go forward. What's lacking for us to do that, guys? I submit to you, it is not the degrees from any one of those universities. Has nothing to do with that. It's your will to want to do it, not the degrees. Degrees are discriminatory tools that have been set up by another man-made institutions. Means to discriminate you, means to minimize who's going to do what and when. Because we are doing what is not that which is inside of us. So like a dog is trying to fly when flight is not naturally inside of a dog. It's like seeing a fish trying to fly. You cannot expect a cow to go swim when swim is not naturally inside of a cow. But the minute we start confusing the roles and responsibilities, quite obviously we are going to be failures. So do you know who you are and what you are about today? And until you can respond to that, you are going to struggle. So much is happening, guys. Specifically you brothers and sisters in and outside of Africa. It doesn't matter where you are. You are still responsible for your original contract, the management of your homeland. Anytime a foreigner comes in to manage and to take over your responsibilities, you get to forfeit. Every day that they take your responsibility, you receive forfeit. You forfeit the benefits from it. A lot of you are slaves because you've given up the management contract, and you have settled for something that isn't naturally yours. The same way a bird can try to go and become a cow when naturally cannot be. If we remain in the domains that we are naturally designed to function in, life is going to be sweet. Solutions are going to be beautifully provided. A fish cannot be asked to fly, guys. Even if it goes to one of the most prominent Ivy Leagues created by human beings. It won't, because naturally it doesn't fly. Keep yourselves in the environment by which you were created to be in. Assume the responsibilities that come along with that whole entire environment, because it is naturally yours to manage. That's the secret, guys, of our today's dilemma. Now, do you have it in you to take back that which is rightfully yours? That's what I want to ask you guys today. It's incredible that today it's our season, granted. We've seen a lot of situation taking place. But we are so slow in assuming the responsibilities, taking the steps to get together and figure out, hey, this situation, how did it get here? What is the root cause? What's going on here? How can we actually resolve this problem, this situation? What are the steps to follow so we can, arrive somewhere we can see a workable solution? We've been encouraged to run away from these responsibilities. You are being encouraged to abandon your homeland, Africa, because nothing is going on in Africa. Evidently, a bush is going to be a bush. A bush will remain a bush until you decide to bring order in the bush. There's one little slight difference between a bush and a garden. Same tree, same everything, different lanes. One is a bush, another one is a garden. Do you know what the difference is, guys? Order. And how do you establish order? Design what's in your head. Bring out your thought to a piece of paper and structure it. Bring order of your thoughts. Create a process, a workable process that is right to that environment. Take out the steps necessary to execute. And do all the execution. Start doing it. That brings in order. Same trees, same bushes, simply a proper order. And you have yourself a garden rather than a bush. So you Africans right now who are looking for engineers from all these Ivy Leagues, there is nothing different that they're using except order. There is nothing fancy that they have except knowing the steps that they are going to follow to rearrange a situation in such a way that it looks like a garden when it's just a bush in order. How do you get rid of the refugee issues? How do you keep people from literally leaving their homeland? What are the reasons? What are the cause? What is the cause of them leaving their homeland? Is it a security issue? Is it a hunger issue? Is it economics? If you can identify the root cause and you take care of these root causes, they won't have a reason to leave their beautiful land and go to these little teeny places. I mean, we are so crazy, guys. Even I cannot understand it. But I also think that it's because we don't have any knowledge. I think one day I've done it. And let me humor you guys right quick. Even though I didn't have this planned, but I want to do it right quick because I want you, the people, to know a few things that you oftentimes don't get to talk about or even think about because you are simply reacting, guys. You are reacting. I want you guys to let me do it right quick. United Kingdom, okay? I believe I've done it a little bit ago. So, the United Kingdom, the size of United Kingdom versus Africa, okay? I want you guys to see it. Because sometimes it's just incredible how a lot of us, we are so, man. So, I'm going to use the English system. Actually, let me also find the metric system so that I do not lose some of you who are not familiar with the English system. Measurements. I was looking at the measurement from the English system, but I want to do it in the in the metric system as well, so that we can have an equalizer. An equalizer. Okay. All right. So Africa, there you are, and the United Kingdom. Why am I bringing this again? I just want you to know that when you don't have information and when you cannot process it, not only you waste time, but you also look like a lunatic, which is how most of our brothers and sisters are looking right now. So, I'm from the reference point from our friend Wikipedia. I was checking out the size of Africa and the size of the United Kingdom, okay? Why am I doing this? I want you guys to see how absurd it is for you to leave your homeland and take refuge to the United Kingdom and accept the Brits to receive all of you guys. I mean, it's mathematically impossible. And the fact that someone keeps on telling you to leave your homeland and go to UK, there is a problem with that also. So, for those of you guys who are not familiar with what I'm about to share with you guys, 7.3. So, the size of Africa. Okay, let me use actually the metric system. So for those of you who are not familiar, Africa, the size of Africa, according to Wiki, is 30 kilometers, 30,370 kilometers square. Okay, that's the size. Do you know the size of England? 242,495 kilometers square. Let's round it off to 243,000 kilometers square. Africa is 30,370 kilometers square. The United Kingdom is 243 kilometers square, roughly. I just rounded it off. Why am I trying to do that to you guys? 243. I want to just humor you because sometimes So Africa is literally roughly 125 times bigger, 125 times bigger than the United Kingdom. And you have African leaving or making an attempt to leave Africa towards the United Kingdom. What's wrong with that picture, guys? What is wrong with that picture? What is wrong with that picture? So how can the Brits actually even house you? They don't have the capacity to begin with. Which is why the Brits have to come and plunder Africa. Because they just don't have the capacity to satisfy everything that they need there. So therefore they have to use you, the people, to get what they need. Secondly, remember I told you that you cannot be a manager of something if you do not have the capacity to manage it. You own the real estate called Africa because you have not only the capacity, but you have the management contract. You are fully equipped to manage everything within, whether you know it or not. So how is it the Brits are going to come and tell you how to manage your own real estate when some of what you have in your real estate they have no knowledge over, naturally? Somehow there has been a knowledge transfer from you people to the Brits, for the Brits to come in and tell you how to manage your own homeland. Only if you can really grip to it and be honest enough with yourselves to realize that that's what the problem is. It's like me trying to tell a woman how to have a kid. It's like me trying to explain to a woman how a baby is being manufactured inside of her womb. First and foremost, I'll be so lying because I'm not a woman to know how it's done. Secondly, even if I was a woman, that knowledge is not actually, it hasn't been downloaded into me. I just know that I do it the same way you know that you breathe. But the details as to how I do it or how she does it, we don't have it. So how do you explain that a British person is going to come to Africa and tell you how to manage your own homeland if they've never been to your homeland, if they don't have any notion of what your homeland is and what it has? They have to have had the knowledge of your homeland for them to have the understanding, the comprehension, and then the actual skill set to manage it. So, and this is why I tell you guys that you who are born on the motherland, assume the responsibility and the accountability of all that's there. Including the knowledge that you think you don't have. You still got it. You got to wake it up. Which means there should never be any reason why you're running to the United Kingdom for cover up, for refugee, for security. It's like you're flying, you're running 5, 6, 7,000 miles away or kilometers away. You go into a much smaller spot, less resources. Are you serious, guys? But we understand why. If the Brits come in and take the management contract, meaning whoever that's managing the resources locally isn't taking care of you and you're not the priority, quite obviously, the policies, the regulation, the set of instructions to manage the place isn't going to be in your favor. It's going to be in the favor of the Brits. By the way, I hope there's no offense to any of the Brits. I'm using you as an example because everybody's talking about you. But also, I also want to put it out there that the Brits are not the first one to do this, guys. They actually just copied it. Copy and paste. I put it to you that the United States and Canada have done this 17 years ago, in 2002. Actually, it's not even 17 years ago. It's literally now 20 years ago. "20 years ago, what the Brits are doing today was already underway here in the United States." I do not recall Africans and a lot of you guys actually having a havoc with it. And of course, I was also young. Let me be transparent as well. So today we're crucifying the Brits for doing something that they've copied from somebody else. They're not the original to think of something like this. Which means after 2 decades, they realize, you know what? Why can we do this? They got away with it. So can we? So you guys get to understand the failure to take over your own responsibility. Africans today, there are a lot of things taking place because we have failed to assume the responsibilities. Now, it does not take away the accountability to anybody who's harming our own people. Consequently, but we share the responsibility. If I was given the management contract and then I decided to absolutely dishonor my contract, a Brit, an American, a Canadian, a German comes in and then they assume the responsibility for their own interests first and foremost. Who is to blame first and foremost? Is it them or me? Can we keep it real, guys? So it's kind of sickening when you see what's happening right now. It's like really not knowing north from south, east from west. We're just very emotionally driven, but we're not thinking, guys. We are not thinking. And I believe it's about time that we start thinking, guys. That we literally start thinking. Because failure to do that, it is going to actually be more expensive. It is like us just getting a fancy Band-Aid and put on, and just putting it over a wound that's rotting. Now, just because you're putting a bandage on it, it doesn't mean that you're addressing the problem. You're simply covering the problem. We've become professional problem coverers. It's like we are so busy creating fancy bandage to apply on an open wound that hasn't been cleaned, that has all kinds of stuff that needs to be removed. Potentially, you can catch cancer from a wound that hasn't been addressed for a long time when all the dirt is actually decaying from within and causing you more harm. So can you imagine the wounds that Africa has, of which haven't been addressed? And we keep on yelling and we keep on saying, hey, such and such didn't bring the Band-Aid. Hey, come here. Hey, come and help me with my wound. We know not only you got the medicine, you know how to address it yourself, but you would not do it. So, I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it short. We are responsible, guys. We are responsible for everything that's happening. We are literally responsible for restoring the entire Africa. We are responsible for its management. We are also accountable for everything that is going right and everything that is going wrong. All foreigners in Africa right now are there because we have allowed them to be. We have allowed them to be. We have dishonored our natural management contract, and we have been involved in actually drafting new contracts. At some point, we have to say no. And not just a regular no, a strong heck to the no. Despite what you may have actually signed as an agreement. If you're signing an agreement to kill yourself, to poison yourself, and you're still so adamant honoring that same contract, at what point are you going to realize that that is a faulty agreement that you've signed? Why would I want to honor a contract where I'm actually poisoning myself daily? Where I'm actually slicing my neck personally? Are you crazy? So I hope that you brothers and sisters are listening up and quick. Because every single one of the contracts that you've signed or that has been signed on your behalf, you are fully responsible for its outcome. Why? Because first and foremost, you already have a contract that you're supposed to be honoring. And that contract to manage Africa and its resources, it is yours to manage, not the Westerners, not the foreigners. You can choose to invite them over, but they are ultimately guests. And you are the manager. You are the executioner. You got to do it all. So it is so crazy seeing how today we're running like chickens with no head. Unable to assume the responsibilities. Putting a hand out for everything and anything. And all along, we got all the tools, all the instructions, everything that we need to take care of the situation. I mean, the joke is on us, guys. I won't finish the conversation without telling you, brothers and sisters, also who aren't familiar with all of this that I'm saying. Nothing is new, guys. Anything that arrives on mainstream media and you're hearing of it right then and there, it is as old as you can imagine. And I'm telling you the truth. The beauty of living in today's world, we have such access to information. If you so choose, and you are fully awakened and aware of everything taking place, nothing is new under the sun. You can find out so many things happening today. And when you look, when it was enacted, we're talking about 20, 30 years back. But you're just getting to know of it right now. Imagine the catching up that you have to do, that we have to do. So this is where now you have to literally assume the responsibilities. Never mind that you failed, that we have failed. Yes, acknowledge that. But then let's not get distracted anymore. Stop passing on the blame. Stop pointing fingers. Enough with that. Enough with that, guys. What have you done besides pointing out fingers? What have you done as a practical solution? Remember, we say you got the solution, you also have the masterpiece, but you're lacking the action. So let's act and talk less, especially pointing fingers. It is good that we point fingers so that you know. But beyond that, we also need to get together boldly enough to take action. But we also know that most of you would not be willing to take any actions. all of a sudden you will have many more reasons why you cannot take an action. So not only we have one disease, but we're dealing with at least two different diseases. Unwillingness to take action and unwillingness to be a solution provider when in fact you already have the solution. Why? Because we have been conditioned to just chill, to be lazy, because we have a savior somewhere who's going to come and do it for us. And at what point do we realize, do we see that it's only us who are going to actually come up with the solutions ourselves? Anytime we're expecting a foreigner to come in with a solution, that solution is going to come with a cost. And not only it comes with a cost, but it is a bootleg solution. Let me take a practical example. Take a Mercedes vehicle and a Toyota. You're screaming that your Toyota has a problem. And then another customer is screaming that the Mercedes is having an issue. Both of you are on highway, you're driving. And all of a sudden, the Toyota screams that he has a problem, he or she has a problem. And then all of a sudden, you see a Mercedes repair shop. And you go right in, right quick, and you say, hey, come on, fix my vehicle. They look at it first and foremost, and they find no manual as to how your vehicle works, operates. They know it's a vehicle because they also create a vehicle. They also take care of vehicles, but it's not one of their vehicles. It's not their model. They don't have a reference point as to how they can take care of the situation you have. They may know what the problem is, but the solutions, it's unique to that Toyota. Same thing. Mercedes on highway, all of a sudden the engine is bling, 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 is blinking, and they see a Toyota outlet and they go straight for repairs. Toyota sees it, they welcome you, and then they decided to take your money. And then not only that, they decide to try to fix your vehicle. Can you imagine the expectations from a repair shop that just fixed a Mercedes using Toyota parts? Do you know what's going to happen to that Mercedes? Vice versa. Imagine Mercedes crew are repairing a Toyota with Mercedes parts. What's going to happen to those vehicles? It will not take long before the same problem is exacerbated. Because the parts of a Mercedes, not only they're not the same parts for Toyota, but if you force a Mercedes to take a Toyota part, you are going to even damage the part that is attached to, because they are incompatible. So anytime a foreigner comes in and bring you a solution that doesn't apply to your situation, and it's forced upon you, and you kindly receive it, because they are doctors, they are expert in that area. Think about a Mercedes and a Toyota going in each other's shopping, in each other's auto shops. While they are experts in vehicle repairs, they're not necessarily expert in that particular model. One is a Toyota, another one is a Mercedes. Just because they both vehicle has four wheels, one steering drive, maybe four different doors, one engine, it doesn't mean that they work the same. Just because a foreigner from the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, Germany, Russia, China comes in and claims to be an expert in an area, and then you're like, oh, thank God. Oh, let's receive these solutions from them. I submit to you, they may be expert in their own environment, but have no single clue how your environment is going to work, even though they may have the basic notions. A Mercedes expert mechanic, it is as bad as someone who hasn't gone in a school when it comes to repairing a Toyota. Yes, they might know the basic of opening screws and all of that. But now the more detail-oriented things that they have to do, they completely differ. The general understanding does not make you an expert of a particular subject. So it is irresponsible for you to hire someone from outside of your environment to come and fix and resolve or provide a solution of your environment when they have zero knowledge over it. And that's what we continue to do, even up to today. Europeans and Northern Americans are very quickly acknowledged and welcomed in Africa to be solution providers when they have zero knowledge of what's going on there. When they have zero knowledge. Zero knowledge. Just because they're coming in from MIT, from any one of these Ivy League schools, doesn't mean that they know squat about your local region. It's the same thing, Mercedes and a Toyota, in different shops. You are ultimately responsible for your own environment. Solutions. A guest can come in and help you expedite the handling of a situation, but will never be an expert in your environment if they've never taken the time to study the environment and to know how it operates. So take notice, ladies and gentlemen, especially you brothers and sisters in Africa. So much of what's happening right now is a result of us deliberately ignoring our responsibility in management of Africa and African resources. It's a literally direct response to what we have refused to do. Now, the consequence can be dire or they can be mild. For instance, if you know you have a wound on your leg, and this wound is somewhere sensitive, maybe by the knee, somewhere that is going to be hurting, and that you need to get it addressed as quickly as possible. You ignore the wound and it gets bigger. Not only it gets bigger, it starts eating your tissues around your knees. Because you're ignoring it and you're not getting it addressed. It becomes a point now, like your whole knee has to be replaced. And there aren't any manufacturers that manufactures a knee just like yours. So they tell you, hey, it seems like we're noticing a cancer coming, so we're going to have to chop off your leg. We don't have new parts that we're just going to give you. Because that is completely outside of the scope what us as human beings are able to do right at this moment. Your body parts, nobody else can make them here on planet Earth. They are attempting the race to make human body parts. It's there. But just because someone makes a close attempt to clone you, to make something similar to you, it doesn't mean that it's you. It's like that dealer tries to, it's like that Toyota goes on the assembly line and tries to literally duplicate a part of a Mercedes illegally. Though it may look like the Mercedes part, there's a signature that's lacking. That's gonna make everything connect and talk to each other. Even though it looks like it, it is still not original. There is bound to be problems with that bootleg part that is foreign to Mercedes, though it seems and looks like a Mercedes part. We are so busy doing that every single day. We take our problems to unauthorized solution providers. And of course, they give you bootleg solutions and you take them. Africa is one of the continents who accept bootleg solutions from all over the globe. Bootleg solutions. And the worst part of it, even when you see that it's a bootleg solution, you don't turn around and say, hey, hold up. I was expecting something different. We have learned how to be like, yes, sir, thank you. Even with a false solution. So we're in double jeopardy, double trouble. Not only you don't have the solution, you recognize that it's a wrong solution. And you don't have the boldness to say, what have you done? Why did you do this to me? Why are you doing this to my family? Why are you doing this to our community? Why are you doing this to this nation? I am asking you, brothers and sisters, assume back your responsibilities as managers of African resources, of Africa as a continent. Assume your responsibility of addressing the root cause of situation we're running into as Africans. Instead of getting busy figuring out the solutions of these symptoms. I don't need you to give me a fancy bandage. A fancy bandage that simply covers a wound and it does not respond to the root cause. It's going to be expensive. It'll take time, of which I could have been using solving or figuring out a solution for the root cause. We got to stop misleading our own people for solutions of which aren't there. It's like we literally are killing our own people by providing the wrong solutions. And we're convincing them that they are the right solution because someone outside of Africa had said so. You've seen recently how most of you have solved this pandemic situation by applying solutions that you have no knowledge over, zero knowledge over. You have yet to study the consequences, zero. And up to this very moment, still adamant that they are a great solution when you still have no knowledge over nothing. I mean, seriously, guys. We have so much to answer. And when you see that and you realize that if the script is flipped, those providing the solutions would not be so kind as to being led blindly with your solutions. However, you are expected to be led blindly because you are Africans, because you don't know any better, because you have no knowledge of anything and everything, because you've been trained to think like that, and you've been trained to accept that. Well, I'll let you know right now. You get to know it. Not today, not us. This generation, we know who we are, and we know we've got the solutions of the issues at hand. We know it's going to take some time for you to accept it. And we know that you're not going to just give up and allow our brothers and sisters to do what they got to do. But whatever that's coming, we have accepted it. Bottom line, in the end, there's only one light. Dark and light cannot be in the same room. I am convinced in due time, light will prevail. Darkness will no longer occupy the environment where light resides. No longer are we going to tolerate those of you providing bootlegs solution. No more bootlegs. We can tell a bootleg solution from the original solution. Even though we may pretend like we don't know any better, but you can see a bootleg version of anything. You can tell. So do you have the courage, brothers and sisters, to acknowledge when you're being duped, when you're being given bootleg solutions, and you have the original solution yourselves, but you are too lazy, you are unwilling to provide those solutions yourself because you've been taught that those bootleg solutions are what you need and what you must receive. Never mind the right solutions. So we gotta step up. We have to step up, period. Because the cost of continuing to use bootleg solutions is far more expensive. And the consequences are far more detrimental than you sucking it up and say, hey, you know what, we acknowledged we have gone astray, but now we've decided to take it back, to assume back our responsibility and the accountability of every situation at hand and work together and address it. Ultimately, that's where we have to arrive, guys. Whether you do it today, tomorrow, or 100 years from now. But the consequences, on the other hand, will exponentially grow. The longer we refuse, the longer we do not take it kindly to get these solutions, the more expensive they become. And they won't be on one side, by the way. They will be region-wise, which means the more we delay to provide a solution in Africa, the more everybody on the planet Earth is going to suffer. So those of you who believe that you keeping Africa under siege, you keeping Africa in poverty, you keeping African people from actually giving you the permanent solution, not the bootlegged solutions, you are also signing your own death sentence in your own locations. You cannot sustain yourselves based on where we are right now. You need Africa. And you need African solutions. Because there's no way you're going to need something from within Africa and apply your own personal solutions away from Africa. It won't match. It's like Mercedes and Toyota. You're getting a Mercedes part and trying to put it in a Toyota vehicle, and then you force that part on it. The quicker you realize that, the faster we get right back in the right position. So I desire nothing more than encouraging all of you brothers and sisters to please assume your responsibilities. Assume your positions. So much is coming. So much work ahead of us. And we will get we literally will get no excuses as to why we didn't position ourselves in the beginnings so that we can take care of the situation. We get no excuse. We get no pass. So as we provide solutions to the problems, we are also going to be slammed with the consequences of the failure of doing it late. So those things are, they will be coming together. With that in mind, guys, thank you so much for those of you following and who have followed. And thanks in advance for those of you who will be following this program. And I just want to go back to you guys and let you know, remember, never use bootleg solution when you already have the original solution. Do not push your responsibility to somebody else. When you are the key person, when you are the prime individual to take care of those responsibilities. Africans, you gotta step up and do right by your own people, your own brothers and sisters, because it is who has been given the contract to do right by the rest of the people. Get to know that and assume the responsibilities. And with that in mind, guys, thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Shoot us some feedbacks to our website, www.afridominion.com. Email is info@afridominion.com. Guys, until next time, I am Freeman Singirankabo here at Afri Dominion. Have yourself a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.